But we do have a guest representative with us tonight from City of St. Paul Parks and Rec. So Alice, I will turn it over to you and maybe with Ari for support to talk about Northdale Rec site improvements.
Okay, 1 second. Okay. Okay, are you seeing the slides?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the time this evening. I'm really happy to be here to talk about a project that we are working on at Northdale. Okay, there we go. So we have funding secured for field improvements at the site. This is being funded by the Common Sense funding with a focus on addressing the field condition and deferred maintenance that we're seeing in that field space. So the scope of the work is to improve the green space by adding irrigation, improving site grading, and then adjusting existing lighting to help support the recreational use that happens at the site. So the timeline is we're hoping to get the project out for bid here pretty soon. So probably a May start and then completing it I'd say late summer, early fall. That's our current timeline. So I think you all know the site probably pretty well, but there's a lot of current programming that happens. It's a really active softball, baseball site. Soccer occurs, flag football, and then there's great winter recreation that also happens with the refrigerated ice rink. There's also annual events that happen with the D10 pancake breakfast, Safe Summer Nights happens there, and then really great partnerships with St. Paul Public Schools, with Como Washington High School using the fields, the outdoor space, St. Agnes, the Como Ball for baseball and softball, and then Maternity St. Mary's and Langford Park Hockey. And then, like as all of our spaces, there's lots of informal uses that happen. Dog walking, volleyball, play, pickup, hockey. But really, the space that we're looking at, nothing is happening to the building, to the parking lot, to the playground, to the tennis courts. It's really kind of the south east side of the park. And the goal is to look at having a dedicated baseball field. So that's the existing baseball field you can see with the grass infield. And then having dedicated softball in the southeast corner of the site. So the other two ag lime fields would be removed and replaced with turf to allow other sports to happen. It's not atypical that a lot of our sites, this is kind of an old recreation model when baseball and softball were really heavily programmed in our system, and the transition of sports and recreation evolution happens in that. So you all are probably really familiar with the site, kind of the current condition. These are some photos from last fall. You can see the grass space. This is what happens when we don't have irrigation. We don't have great drainage, grading, and we have a lot of water that's put there for the winter recreation. There's also just a lot of wear and tear with the existing ball fields that, again, regrading is a chance for us to address. The other thing that's interesting is there's a lot of fencing at this site, and some of it is redundant. So trying to look at, like, where do we need fencing to keep balls in play, and then removing some of this redundant fencing. So this is on the east side of the site where we have the ball fencing, which is needed for the baseball field that exists, but there's this other stretch of fencing that parallels the sidewalk that really isn't necessary. In winter conditions, this was taken a couple weeks ago, if we can imagine it looked like this. This is the path from the building to the dedicated refrigerated ice rink. And then there's informal skating use that happens. It's kind of deceiving, but the grade changes quite a bit from the building down to the south. I think it's about 2.5 to 3 feet. So as crews work to establish ice specifically for this informal skating rink, there's quite a bit of water that needs to happen. And so what happens on the northern edge is the ice is really thin, and we start to get these pockets where the grass comes through quicker than we would want to see happen. And then the surfacing that's down on the sidewalk to allow people in skates to walk from the warming house needs to be removed and then reapplied. So the plan, and this is a little bit outdated, but it's a helpful graphic to kind of visualize what we're thinking. So this dashed line is the existing ag lime field that we're proposing to remove, replace with grass, and add irrigation into this piece. The other ag lime field that's adjacent to the refrigerated ice rink would also be removed and expand that flexible green space. We are showing a dash line. We know there's interest from the hockey community to get boards put back at the site. So we're thinking about that. We don't have boards at this time, but just thinking about the grades and that need for additional skating opportunities. That's what we're kind of showing here. And then really having the baseball field stay as it is, and then looking at the southeast corner and having it be designed for various youth baseball, so U10, U12, and then softball also occurring in that site. So this would be new fencing, bleachers, and site amenities to support that. And then there's also the stormwater component that's needed to meet the watershed regulations. So if I zoom in, I know this is really hard to see. This is a construction document plan. You can see this tone hatch here. This is where new turf will be placed with irrigation. The grades are going to be probably about 1% to 1.5%. So it's going to be pretty flat. But that's really going to help us level the site out and support winter sports there as well as summer field sports. Down in the south, you'll see a stormwater basin. So that's kind of where the site is draining now. So it's important to capture that water before it enters the storm sewer. And we are proposing to put in a tall fence. It's similar to the fence that's along the south side of the refrigerated ice rink, where there's fence panels up high and then the bottom is down. And again, that's to keep hockey pucks from going across the street into the residents' homes there. No trees will be taken down. Tree protection will be put in. And again, there'll be some surrounding site improvements around specifically this ball diamond here in the south corner. With that, that's really kind of the scope of it. I would say our most recent project, if you're interested in seeing what's a similar, occurred last year at Langford, and it's a great comparison because Langford has really active summer, spring sports, and then their winter hockey season also is pretty significant. But Ari, I'm sure you have a lot more to add too from the programming and all the great things that Rec does the site.
I think Alice did an awesome job. It's great from our programmers and site staff. Like it's just great to see investment in the fields that we use, and I think the community appreciates it. Langford's field, just due to the winter, not many people got to see it as it's brand new, but it's beautiful. So the fact that we're going to get something like I got to see it and I'm so excited for its use. And so Northdale being able to replicate that a little bit is really incredible. And I just wanted to reiterate when the first slide when Alice wrote that programming piece, the baseball, flag football, those are just internal teams. So that 4 softball, baseball, those are 4 Northdale teams, 3 Northdale teams, plus all the partners, right? That's the amount of use if you imagine. So we have we had 9 internal Northdale teams that use it, and maybe sometimes more. And then we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 other groups that use those fields. So I think it's really going to be a big plus for not just our internal teams and the community that uses our free sports and our subsidized sports, but also folks that use surrounding community things. I know like construction is going to be a struggle because of all the use, right? And we're trying to help find some space for Como Wall and I know St. Agnes and things like that. But once it comes back, it's going to be, it already is such a used place. So us investing in it is really, really great to see. I also just a couple of things is like for soccer, they have to play in the dirt right now, right on that back, like on that field because of the 2 baseball fields. So that's a huge thing, not just for baseball, that they can use just grass. And another big thing is, as she was saying, with the grading for flooding, it's gonna make flooding so much easier. And then it's gonna make, like, the irrigation is gonna make it so that it's not impacting the field so much. So that's a huge thing as well. And if we ever do get a chance to put, when we did have some conversations with, some, community members about putting the boards back, that grading was a huge obstacle, right? So having that is gonna be something where if we ever do get to that, having this graded is gonna be a reason why we can even step towards that, so. But I am around, if you guys have any questions about the use, but obviously Alice is the expert in the nitty gritty. I'm not my lane, but I appreciate being able to see it and contextualize it because it's exciting.
Thank you, Alice and Ari. This is a great time for questions. Well, we've got our experts in the room.
A couple of questions, very inconsequential. I noticed there's kind of a driveway on Cottage. Will that little driveway, that little access driveway remain?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that driveway is pretty heavily used for our maintenance crews that need to come. So it could be in the summer. It's also in the winter. When I was out there, they were flooding the rink, and that's kind of the way that they come in. So we are intentionally keeping that open. There is another maintenance way from Arlington, but you're driving more through the building and a little bit more active spaces here. So anyway, yeah, we're going to keep that open.
And do you ever have games concurrently with Field 1 and Field 2? And is there any safety issues? Is there any fencing between those fields? That's a baseball field that is in Field 2.
Okay, is this Field 1 and this is Field 2?
Correct.
Okay.
Let's see. No, sorry, the baseball field and then the one to the far northeast.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, those.
You can't have two. You cannot have.
You cannot.
Two games going on. So that's part of the reason that it looks like they are taking off that northeast field, because that's not something you can do at the same time. And this Field 1 it can be used for all that's really big, older. So like the St. Agnes, like ninth graders, our 15U teams. That's the field we use. So being able to have that be grass and not dirt is huge. I know there's not fencing, but just for the professional look of it, it just looks a little better than having your left field be dirt, right? Or your center.
Which was kind of what Langford was, as I recall.
And that's exactly what they did as well. So now it's a much more professional looking field.
Yeah.
And you can do, and like at Langford, you can now do 12U games, which is nice, but we already could here, but yes, that is a.
Okay, and then Field 2 there is being removed. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
Cool.
Laura, it looks like you've got your hand up.
Oh, yeah, just a quick question. Back in the 50s, there were Quonset huts on this field for housing. And so I just wondered if there was any site survey, or if you think there might be any unknown items that might be revealed if you do a little bit of grading and shifting around and putting new irrigation in. So.
Oh, that's a great question, Laura. I did not know that. We did do soil borings, but obviously those are just little test spots along in the site. Let me go back and do a little historical research and see how deep or how much grading like the earthwork is going to be. The irrigation's not super deep, but I think as we look at cut fill, yeah,
I don't know any of the plumbing or any of that stuff, but if you're doing that, it might just be a interesting thing to just double check so you don't hit something by accident by putting a pole in or then you could have or save us the information and it could just be known for the as a historic piece. But
thanks for sharing that. I did not know that.
Okay, thanks. Pictures look great though.
Great, thanks.
Other questions or comments? All right. Well, Alice, thank you so much for joining us. We are fortunate that we also have Ari here pretty regularly to run our Northdale questions by, but we appreciate this work, and I'm sure that there will be many a small person who will also appreciate this in the future.
Yes, thank you. We will, we'll keep the website updated and I'll send out notice once we have a more solid construction schedule, just so everybody knows when work's starting. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yep, thank you.
See ya.
See you next